Hello and welcome to Point of View. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how space race can destroy planet Earth. Space is increasingly critical to modern life on Earth. There's never been more activity in space than there is today. Commercial space ventures have exploded over the past 5 years as private space companies have launched rockets, put satellites into orbit, and bid on missions to the moon. However, there's a growing concern that as space becomes more economically and strategically important, tensions between different space actors could lead to conflict. Such a conflict could have devastating consequences for humankind and planet Earth. Some experts also worry that the recent surge of activity has raced far ahead of its existing space laws and international agreements that dictate who can do what in space. Most of existing policies were written and adopted long before the commercial space sector heated up. Now, countries are realizing that they need to update those agreements. Recently, the United Nations Institute for Disarmament Research held its annual Outer Space Security Conference in Geneva, Switzerland. The conference was attended by diplomats, researchers, and military officials from around the world who discussed threats and challenges, arms control, and space security. Their deliberations offered a peek into what new space policies might look like. And here are some of the most significant takeaways from the conference. Takeaway number 1. A dangerous arms race is brewing. Some experts declare that space is turning into a battlefield. The use of counter-space technologies has been rising. For example, Russia and China have recently performed anti-satellite missile tests, while the US has long acquired similar capabilities. A research analyst claimed we were watching an arms race unfold. What's worse, we're probably past the point of no return, and it may be too late to focus our efforts on preventing the arms race. It was suggested that instead of deterrence, new policies should now focus on mitigating the disastrous consequences of this arms race. Space experts are urging states to use the United Nations and the diplomatic resources to clarify and improve relationships between rival countries. Deputy Director of China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Haiyang Lai, went so far as to point out that future conflicts in space could undermine the security of more than just those countries involved. He argued that the creation of the US Space Force was a damning evidence that the US has already publicly declared space as the next frontier of war. However, Lai did say he strongly believed space war could not be won and it could not be fought. Takeaway number 2. Treaties need an overhaul. As of 2021, there are 111 signatory nations of the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, which bans military activities on extraterrestrial bodies. The treaty was the first international document committed to preserving the peace in space. It was born in a period when the threat of nuclear war was at the top of the public mindset. Today, space commerce depends heavily on the law of due regard, or the principle that countries should respect and consider other countries' interests. But with the proliferation of commercial and non-government entities in space, time has come to change the rules. Experts in space and aviation policy argue that space is now becoming more and more congested, and this creates the potential for more conflicts and collisions. Although countries are currently responsible for their own national space activities as well as private space firms operating within their borders, industry analysts agreed that unlike the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, any future treaty must include clear rules around the rights and obligations of non-state actors. Takeaway number 3. The right technology could be helpful. It's possible to use technology to help regulate space traffic and defense. But doing so will require developing better space situational awareness, which means the ability to track objects in orbit and to predict their exact position at all times. Although there are some limitations to doing this, many state and private actors already use tracking systems to operate safely in space. Technologies like telescopes have greatly improved over the last decade and, combined with more powerful computers, now offer a clearer picture of space activities. The future of space security, though, depends to some extent on how well these and other technological advances can help countries and companies understand each other's plans and motives. Many experts are of the opinion that before we can come to any agreement that potentially solve our space challenges, we should try to thrash out our differences on the ground first. And that's because space systems are closely tied to everything we do on Earth. It's impossible to control an arms race in space without addressing things first on Earth. My personal take on this is that space war, like nuclear war, cannot be won and must never be fought. Safeguarding outer space security is a shared responsibility for all countries, especially the space powers among us. Negotiating a legally binding updated treaty is long overdue. The world urgently needs a pact that deals with multilateral arms control, and it cannot be delayed any longer. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.